Well, I heard an exciting story about two young boys by the name of Keith and Ricky. And Keith and Ricky were two American boys, and they had the opportunity to travel around to the ancient land of Edinburgh, Scotland. And they had the opportunity to travel there, and they're sitting on top of this big hill that overlooks the entire city. When all of a sudden, right down below them, out popped a little baby bunny rabbit out of a little hole. And of course, Keith and Ricky started taking pictures of it. Oh, how cute it was, you know. And so, as soon as the rabbit saw Keith and Ricky, it ran back into its hole. Well, let me tell you something about Keith. Keith was the kind of kid that would come up with all these crazy concepts, these crazy inventions, these different ways of looking at stuff in life. But the only problem with Keith is anytime anyone ever criticized him, anytime anyone ever said, oh, Keith, man, that's stupid, or, I mean, you can't do that, you'll never amount to anything, or we've already tried that before, or whatever, he would say, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right, I'm sorry. And he would give up. He would give up short of those goals and dreams and desires that had been placed into his heart. He didn't know how to stand up for what he believed and believe in what he stood up for. Anyway, this rabbit caught Keith's curiosity, so he walks down to the rabbit hole, you know, and he looks down to the hole. And Keith's no country boy. He's seen lots and lots of rabbit holes before, you know. But he looks down to the hole, and as his eyes begin to adjust to the darkness, he begins to notice something kind of odd about the hole, for the fact that it starts off kind of thin, and all of a sudden it starts spacing out. I said, no way, this kind of made Keith's imagination begin to start cranking a little bit. He said, wait a minute. And he kept looking to the hole, and well, here I am in Edinburgh, Scotland, and wait a minute, Braveheart and Indiana Jones, wait a minute, medieval times, and wait a minute. Maybe this is no rabbit hole. Maybe this is some kind of a lost medieval tomb, or maybe a cave or something. So he started getting all excited about it. Like, yeah, this is no ordinary rabbit hole. This has got to be something here. So he said, hey, Ricky, come here, take a look at this hole. I think I may have found some lost medieval tomb or something. And Ricky said, oh, Keith, man, you're an idiot. Come on, man, what are the odds of you finding some kind of a lost medieval tomb in Edinburgh, Scotland? I mean, thousands and thousands of people walk by here for hundreds and hundreds of years. They never found anything. Come on, man, Keith, let's get out of here. It's so stupid. Keith thought about what Ricky said, and he was right. And what are the odds of him finding some kind of a lost medieval tomb in Edinburgh, Scotland, some 15-year-old little punk? Anyway, he finally said, Ricky, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. So he starts walking back down the bottom of the hill there, and farther away he got, there was something burning inside of him. I said, come on, Keith, do something. There's something, you can do it. Just don't give up. Come on. Try this one time. Forget what people say. Do it. Come on. So he said, Ricky, can we at least go back and find a caretaker? See if there's an old legend, an old wise tale or something about tombs or caves being around the castle. And Ricky said, sure, man, that's fine. But if you're going to embarrass yourself, that's fine. But don't bring me down with you. So finally, Keith and Ricky starts walking back up the top of the hill there. And they finally got to the caretaker. And here's Keith, and he's like, sir, I know this is kind of a crazy question and all, but is there like an old legend or an old wise tale about tombs or caves being around this castle? And when the caretaker heard that, his eyes kind of got real big and his mouth wide open. And, aye, laddie, there is a legend about a cave being around the castle, but people gave up on it hundreds and hundreds of years ago, because they never found anything. And the way this kind of confirmed Keith's idea that maybe this is that long lost tomb, you know. So he's drilling, getting all pumped. He's like, sir, I know this is crazy, and I know this is silly, and I know I'm just some little kid, punk and all, and I'm sorry to bother you, but is there like an old legend? I mean, that legend you talk about, I think I may have found something. I think I may have discovered that lost tomb. And can I at least just borrow a flashlight just to see what it is? And the caretaker said, sure, laddie, I'll give you whatever you need. So here they are, Keith and Ricky, and the caretaker starts walking back to that hole. And Keith realizes the magnitude of this moment. With the flip of a switch, he's either going to be a hero or he'd be humiliated. He's either going to be famous or a failure. But he had to decide right then and there, was he going to believe in himself or was he going to believe in other people's criticisms? So finally got closer and closer to the hole, and he could hardly stand himself, and knelt down on one knee and stuck his hand in the hole, and click, and a light bulb went off. A light bulb went off in Keith's mind because he finally realized the power of our thoughts and the power of our words. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The power of our words, sticks and stones that break my bones, but words would never harm me. You realize it was all a lie. Over and over and over again, years and years and years, people say, oh, Keith, you'll never amount to anything. You can't do it. You're worthless, or just forget about it. We've already done that before. He began to think those thoughts, and those thoughts became his actions over and over again. The power of his words and the power of our thoughts. He finally said, you know what? I don't care. If this is some regular old rabbit hole or some tomb, I don't care. But you know what? From here on out, I'm always going to build people up and not break each other down. I'm going to encourage others and not break them down. The power of our words and the power of our thoughts. So finally, anyway, he got down on one knee and stuck his hand in the hole and click. The first thing he saw were these magnificent stone arches and carvings and sculptures. Keith just discovered a lost medieval tomb. So he started jumping up and down. I see stone arches. I see stone arches, you know. And he starts freaking out, you know. And the caretaker took a flashlight away from him. Oh, my goodness, you really have found something. He started jumping up and down, hooping, hollering. Keith just discovered a lost medieval tomb, you know. So he starts thinking of gold and diamonds and meeting the queen and becoming Sir Keith and marrying her daughter and Indiana Jones and big ball rolling out there and booby traps flying everywhere. I mean, this is crazy. Keith just discovered a lost medieval tomb when he's 15 years old. And he had a horrifying thought. What would happen if he hadn't believed in himself? What happened? He'd be miles down the road by now. Wait a minute. Make a long story short, he ended up getting a shovel and just dug it out just big enough where he could slide down into it. When he slid down into it, he stood up. And sure enough, these stone walls formed stone arches. And these stone arches formed a stone hallway about 18 feet long. At the end of the hallway was 2 iron hinges that once held a mighty wooden door. That door where there was an entrance to a room about 30 feet by 30 feet or so. In the middle of the room was big piles of soil, which later on they found out there were bodies buried in there. In corners of the room were piles of ashes from medieval torches, bits and pieces of broken skulls and things like that, artifacts here and there. But no booby traps or, you know, nothing like. Keith would never become famous, not meet the queen. Sure, it made national news. It made front page paper. It ended up being the first Jewish tomb ever to be discovered in Edinburgh, Scotland, which was kind of crazy. But it's a fact that Keith discovered something, but there was no money there, really. But guys, there was a value there worth more than all the money in the world. Because this is a point in Keith's life where he realized the only way he'd ever be successful in life is to believe in himself over other people's criticisms. No matter how crazy it sounds, it's the crazy idea that oftentimes it works. This event changed Keith's life so dramatically that it even changed his name. Keith was his middle name. He said, I'll never be called Keith again. I'm going to go by my first name. I'm going to go by Thomas. As in Thomas Keith Dismukes. That's me. When I was in that cave down there in the tomb, I said, Ricky, throw me down a sheet of paper. And he threw me down a sheet of paper, and I wrote on the top sheet of this sheet of paper, wow. Discovered by Thomas Dismukes and Ricky Gamage, June 23rd, 1991. And then I wrote on the top sheet of this sheet of paper, discovered by Thomas Dismukes and Ricky Gamage, June 23rd, 1991. And I got it, and I tore it in half in a zigzaggedy fashion like this. And I took the top sheet of this sheet of paper, and I rolled it up in a little tube, and I stuck in the crack of that cave. And I keep this sheet with me to remind me, some 17 years ago, to remind me of that exciting adventure I had in Edinburgh, Scotland. My friends, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I've said this 5 times, but it's worth me telling you again. The only way you'll ever be successful in life is to stand up for what you believe and believe in what you stand up for. To not believe in other people's criticism. To believe in yourself. To don't doubt your beliefs and believe your doubts. Guys, my challenge is this, is that whenever you see that hole in life, that ocean of opportunities that are out there, don't ever be afraid to look. Don't ever be afraid to dig. Don't ever be afraid to explore every opportunity and every possibility that's available to you. Because you never know what you might find. You never know what you might find. In honor of building people